Good morning, good afternoon, and good day. I'm Dara. This is Temperate Sunshine. Um, I see things completely different than other people see them, and I feel like that's helpful. It's helped me, and it's helped people that I love. So since my circle has gotten so small, and I have very few people to speak to teach, to lead, to share with, I decided I should expand my circle out of my town because um, today I was thinking about toxic relationships because, again, like I said, I think about things completely different than other people. And I'm not actually sure what it was that brought this up, but anyways, toxic relationships is a thing, of course. We've all been in relationships that didn't go our way or didn't work out. That's not what I'm talking about. More like the people who have been in toxic relationships and have been kind of the victim in a relationship. I don't really see anybody as a victim. I believe that victimhood is a state of mind that you can come out of whenever your spirit is ready, whenever you find a way out. People find it through therapy, all kinds of things, but right now, this is what came to mind. This is how I see it. If you are in a toxic relationship or have been in many, then what that tells me is that you are capable of a type of love that most people are not capable of. And there is never a scenario where that is not commendable. So not saying that it's a good thing to be in toxic relationships at all. Don't stay in one. I'll get there. But it's important to understand that everyone has their place in the world. Everyone has strengths. And some of the people who have been in some of the worst relationships and tried to keep going, people who have noticed the toxicity, seen the toxicity, and still tried to keep going, we tend to be shamed for that, and people tend to belittle it or make fun of it or, oh, that's so stupid. Like, they treat it with such contempt. It's just disgusting. So if you have been in abusive relationships before, first off, I commend you because of this. If you are in a toxic relationship pattern or have had multiple toxic relationships, I want to commend you because you did something, most likely as a child, that even the adults today cannot do, which is love someone with all of your heart, even though they weren't perfect. Even if they hurt you, you still found a way to love that person or try to love that person. Some of us have come into contact with some of the worst human beings imaginable, some of the worst types of people, and still found a way to try and love them, which is really all coping with abuse is. You are trying to get someone to be better in some way, trying to show someone, if I just love you enough, you can heal and you'll love me back. Oh, I need some chapstick. But even adults aren't able to do that. If you think about it, when you were a child, you were able to love your parents, whether it's forced, you had to, oh, they're your parents, you would have died, whatever. You had to, or you chose to. Both are commendable if you make it out of that battlefield. So, you know, people make fun of and people criticize and people judge so harshly people who stay in abusive relationships or have struggled with abusive relationships. People who have yet to get up and heal. It's almost as if you're kicking someone while they're down, which is why it is so not helpful for family members to go and judge you into leaving an abusive relationship. It's not possible for a family member to call you and tell you, hey, can you stop being addicted to this drug? Thanks. Hey, you know what? It's really dumb for you to be in this abusive relationship. If you got hit, you should just leave. As if that thought never crossed your mind. There are multiple reasons why we stay in abusive relationships, and we won't get into all of that right now. But for right now, I just want to say I commend you, because you were doing, really, if you think about it, you were doing, whoever you believe in, spirit, creator, God, Allah, you know, if you are able to survive that type of relationship, it shows a type of strength that is not common. If you are able to survive it and leave it, it shows a type of strength that is just not common. You were able to do something as a child that even adults today can't do, which is love someone with all of your heart, even though they aren't perfect or even deserve to eat shit. You found a way to love even the worst humans through the worst types of pain that they were causing you. You loved them even though they were hurting you, even though they were causing you or your loved ones pain. You still loved them. You still tried to love them. That is strength. That is strength of heart. That is commendable, to say the least, if you are able to respect yourself enough in the end to leave. But that is true strength. For those of you who have been strong as long as you can, remember, it's time to relax. It's time to put the shields down and find a safe place to rest. You're gonna love this. You don't have to relive it or speak it in order to heal it. As any warrior does, we sustain injuries in battle. We must only allow time and nurturing to take effect, but we must first leave the battlefield. No need to look back yet at where the pain came from or where you learned these tactics. Your body, because if you think about it, your child self was forced to see past the worst traits in people and still find a way to love them. And had they been able to do that for you, you would have no issues today. So first off, it's not 100% your fault. And second, you're doing splendid. You're doing so good. If you landed here and you're trying to heal, you're doing wonderful. You're doing better than many, 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 many others. No need to look back yet. You heal, and then you can look back with pride and not shame or sadness. Pride that you'd survived. Pride in how clever, resourceful, and adapting you were because you saved your life. When you choose to gather your supplies and strength, you march a bit more to collect your medal. Wear it proudly for the rest of your life. You carry the tactical knowledge of the battles you faced and survived. You now know how to protect against these offenders, would-be enemies, before they can amass. You see them, and you pass that knowledge to your new loved ones. Before you know it, your whole tribe is unstoppable. These are the warriors. These are the real warriors. We cannot belittle them or judge their capability while they are yet to heal. Wait a while until their bones fuse together. You'll see why the weak tried to get them while they were down, why they didn't want them to stand up, and also why they could have never stopped them, no matter how hard they tried. So that's what I got today. I think that's like around this whole video is around that, because what a pressure lifted off of us. If we were never shamed to begin with, we would have never put up with shame. We would have never avoided things that potentially would have given us shame. If we were not shamed for natural things to begin with, then we would have never suppressed those natural responses. The thing is, when you're in a relationship, ultimately, we decide what we put up with. And if we are tempted to put up with bullshit or abuse, then there is always a reason, either self-worth, which is taught in childhood and taken to adulthood. You can change it whenever you become aware of it. Either self-worth or fear of the alternative, which is also learned in childhood and taken to adulthood. So again, nothing for you to be ashamed of, nothing for you to feel sad about or feel bad about, like you made a mistake. It's just not, you can't feel shame for something that, if I stabbed you, would you feel shame for bleeding? No. Then if you were taught toxic relationship habits, then as an adult, when you're a young adult, when you're first starting, why do you shame yourself? Why would we shame ourselves for crying, or shame ourselves for wanting to stand up for ourselves? At some point coming into the awareness that, no, I don't deserve this. No, I don't want this. It feels bad and I don't want to feel bad. As simple as it seems, that is the thought process that switches it. As a child, we get used to those. We learn to suppress them. We learn to work around them. We learn to work with them. We learn to adapt to those people. After we learn to adapt to those people, as adults then, we have already learned to adapt to that type of person. So when a different types of person comes in, a healthier person comes in, they don't match what we have learned to work around. So our bodies, brains, emotions don't line up with that relationship, and it's so hard to assimilate to it. Until it takes work. It's hard, but it's easy at the same time when you are the right motivation. Excuse me. If I have learned in the past to deal with or work around or suppress my natural responses, when you are a child and your parent is berating you, your natural response is to want them to stop, to speak up for yourself, to stop them doing that, to either run away from it or to confront it. But then when we do that, we are shamed. And shame is a hell of an emotion, and it causes us to shut down because we start to internalize, we start to think that we are wrong. So we learn very young these tactics, these traits. When you learn to suppress your natural responses to abuse or hurtful behavior, then you learn to make space for it. When we learn a better way, a more natural way of dealing with those things, abuse, any kind of abuse or hurtful behavior, then we can no longer make space for it. It simply does not mix with it. We simply don't mix with it. If we learn a better way to deal with something, then we choose that better way to deal with something, then we're free. There is no more, if your parents had done that, then you would have a lot less work to do now. But for whatever reason, they couldn't, they didn't. And so now you are who you are, and you get to make the choice now. So when you learn to suppress your natural responses to abuse or hurtful behavior, then you learn to make space for that. And when the moment you learn a better way to deal with that, or what that actually is, or how to learn that you have the power to actually avoid that, then you will no longer mix with it. Once you see that it is not good behavior, not normal, not natural, not okay, once you deem it as not okay, it immediately becomes repulsive to you. This is why we get into repeated toxic relationships, because we don't learn to see it for what it is. We have been told to ignore all of these things for so long. But when we start to go inside and we start to listen to ourselves, we come back to our natural responses for these abusive habits, these abusive people, and abusive places, relationships. After you learn exactly what it is and how toxic, after you see how bad it makes you feel, it's immediately repulsive. And from that moment on, you see it whenever it comes near you. If a man comes in and he's trying to hide that trait from you, he won't be able to. If a woman comes in and tries to hide that behavior from you, she won't be able to, because you are now aware of what it is. You see it for what it is. Now you can call a snake a snake. You simply don't mix with it anymore. It becomes repulsive again, as it was before you learned to make space for it. Because at some point, you were taught to make space for that. Naturally, if somebody is attacking you, naturally, you will defend yourself, you will speak up for yourself, you will create space, which is separate yourself from that person. And as children, a lot of us understand we were not allowed to do any of those things. Those responses were shut down in us, and we had to go inside. But a lot of us weren't allowed to go inside with awareness, because if we did, then we would just be so depressed all the time and aware, which we already are, we still are, if we're dealing with this. But if we go in and we are really scanning our bodies and really working on what's going on, which you have to be taught to do. You have to be taught that. A child isn't taught that. That's why Mowgli got raised in the thing. He assimilated with the apes. He learned how to function with the apes and the forest life. Then when he got to the humans, he was like, what the F is all of this? And he had to relearn all of those things. It's the same thing. Imagine you were raised by gorillas and they didn't know what the hell they were doing. And now you're an adult and you have to learn how to be around not gorillas. That's crazy. Again, very commendable. Hard work, not easy, and there is no judgment at all. I hope some of this is helping. I hope it's like putting it into a different mind frame for you, so you can kind of, wow, I never thought about it that way. That's my goal. Then, you learn to make space for those things around and suppress my natural responses to abuse or hurtful behavior. Then I will continue that, because it kind of works. If you learn to shut down or go to dissociate, No matter how you choose to do that, there are multiple ways of dissociating. But if you choose to dissociate as a child to save yourself, then that will kind of be your first response as an adult, because it worked. It kept you alive. It kept you from completely... Do you know that you can die of a broken heart? You can. Your emotions are so strong and so prevalent and so important that if they are attacked enough, you can die. You can actually die, not because somebody hurt your feelings so hard, but because you have so many chemicals flowing through your body and you're not able to work with them, then you can actually die. You can have a buildup of all of these chemicals in your body. You can become stiff. You can stop moving. This is why people start to age before they really need to, and people die of old age because they stopped growing, they stopped moving, they stopped letting the energies flow, they stopped being in touch with themselves. They separate so much, they dissociate so much that their body gets cancer and all kinds of autoimmune diseases because it's begging, please pay attention to me. You will die if you don't. So this is why our bodies are trying to wake us up slowly. Until you find a better way. The moment I find a better way, I can choose to implement that, and instantly I break a pattern. Then I am no longer at risk of falling in the same trap. It starts with recognizing your own strength and power. Then we start to reach. You have to realize that you have made choices up until this point. The reason your parents were not able to nurture you properly were because they were not able to make choices that led them up to a better lifestyle. For whatever reason, that is not 100% their fault. They come from a different time. They grew up in a different situation. Think about if you're living in the Depression, you can't really worry about being depressed because, again, you'll die. So you have to dissociate. A consequence for staying alive in a super stressful situation is that you become disconnected with your emotions and you are no longer able to access them in order for your body to save you. You're no longer able to access those. And then there are a myriad of consequences that come along with that. For having saved your life, you take on consequences in a different area. So usually this is why the son bears the sins of the father, because, you know, not saying that dissociating is a sin, because it is a natural response that all of us have. You dissociated in some way, your parents dissociated in a different way. We don't throw stones at anyone. So falling in the same trap, you're no longer at risk for falling in the same trap. When you recognize your own strength and power, then we start to reach. When you are able to decide, this person hurts me, I have to create space. I am capable of creating space. Then you will start to create space. You know, so you're able to, you know, we're always judged and shamed for that. So of course it's going to be hard. And then if you're in a situation where you have no choice but to rely on those toxic family members, then you're kind of at a loss. So again, we throw no stones. We throw no stones. We don't judge anyone for the situations that they're in. Like I said, you don't judge someone for their broken bones when they were just attacked. You might not have witnessed the attack, but you can see that their bones are broken. Assume. It is just safe to assume, because there is no other way they could have gotten those broken bones than to have been injured or been hurt. So relax. Don't blame yourself for causing harm when you were trying to save yourself. Don't blame yourself or allow anyone else to shame you. Completely different subject now. Strength and power, then we reach. If you're in a toxic relationship pattern and you have multiple toxic relationships, I want to commend you because you did something as a child that adults aren't even able to do today. Love someone with all of your heart, even though they deserve to eat shit. You found, okay, see, so that was throwing a stone. I'm me not taking my own advice. But even though they did horrible things and caused you so much pain that would have naturally brought up anger, you had to suppress that, and you had to learn to love someone even through that, which, if you even just stop to think for a second, that is incredible. The fact that a child is able to love someone, even though they're causing them immense pain, that is the most selfless thing. The most selfless thing that someone could do. That is God. That is Allah. That is spirit. So, that is so strong. You find a way to love even the worst humans through the worst types of pain. That is strength. That is almighty. That is true strength. For those of you who have been strong as long as you can remember, it's time to relax. It's time to put the shields down and find a safe place to rest. You're going to love this. You don't have to relive it or speak it in order to heal it. As any warrior does, we sustain injuries while in battle. We must only allow time and nurturing to take effect. But we must first leave the battlefield. No need to look back yet. You heal, and then you can look back with pride and not shame or sadness. Pride that you survived. Pride in how clever, resourceful, and adapting you were because you saved your life as a child. That's crazy. Crazy. When you choose, if you think about it for just a second, how freaking selfish adults are. They get to be where they only look out for themselves. They only are capable. It becomes like a power dynamic, with the kids, because they want, it's just ridiculous. Adults are not able to do that. If somebody is causing an adult pain, the adult is like, I don't have, rightfully so, I don't have to be around you, but they tend to be harsh and critical towards those people that are hurting them rather than loving them and getting space at the same time. I can love you from the other side of the world, honey. I can love you with all of my heart and never speak to you again, because if that is what's good for me, then that is what's good for me. And it's also dumb to assume that adult child of two parents, three, whatever, that an adult child would separate themselves from their birth giver, the ones that made them. My DNA comes from those two people and their entire bloodline. For me to want to separate from those people, there must have been some kind of injury. Again, judging people by their broken bones without looking at how they got them. This is why a lot of adult children who separate from their families are shamed and treated like garbage and seen as the problem, because they don't want to put up with the toxic cycles anymore. By leaving, they are forcing their parents to look at their own behavior. What did I do to cause my own flesh and blood to never want to see me again? That is unfathomable, the type of pain that would break a connection like that. If you think about the natural connection, the natural connection of a mother and child or a father and child, for that super strongest connection in the world to be broken, imagine the amount of heart-wrenching pain. Also, let's not forget how difficult it is for an adult child to make that decision, even if they have been through all that pain. It's still difficult to choose to separate from those people. It's immensely painful to be there, and the pain of separating is seen as better than the pain of staying. Imagine the type of abuse or the type of hardships that would have to be in place for that type of relationship to be broken. It's just crazy. All that is needed is time and nurturing. You must allow time and nurturing to take effect. We must first leave the battlefield. No need to look back yet, no need. You can look back after healing, so you can look back with pride and not shame, sadness, pride that you survived, pride in how clever, resourceful, and adaptive you were because you saved your own life. When you choose to gather your supplies and strength, no matter what age, you choose this. Some people choose at 16, some people choose at 10, some people choose at 40, some people choose at 60. When you choose to gather your supplies and strength and you march a bit more to collect your medal, you wear it proudly. And for the rest of your life, you carry the tactical knowledge of these battles you faced and survived. You know how to protect against these offenders, these would-be enemies, before they can amass. You see them, and you pass that knowledge to your new loved ones, your kids, or new tribe. Before you know it, your whole tribe is unstoppable. These are the warriors. We cannot belittle them or judge their capability. While they are yet to heal, wait a while until their bones fuse together. You'll see why the weak tried to get them while they were down, why they didn't want them to get up, and also why they could have never stopped them to begin with. I think that is so powerful. That brought, when I wrote that, I made myself cry. It's just so important that we give ourselves some credit and some love. Give yourself the grace to grow. Give yourself the grace, to know that you deserve better than what your parents gave you. Your parents may very well have tried their absolute best. You might still love your parents and still have a good relationship with them the best you can, and still have some taught or learned behaviors that go against your natural, which is, it's hard, and it does take time to get back to that. But if you think about it for a while, okay, when I was a child, my father used to do this to me. When he would do this, I learned to do this. Do you still do that as an adult? Maybe. Do you still have a person like your dad in your life that you have to do that with? Maybe. Now as an adult, you can choose to remove that person or choose to start putting in work in a direction that gets you back to your natural. When I was young, my father would do this, and I naturally wanted to do this, but I got in trouble for that. That tells you another way that you suppressed your own natural response. I'm trying to think of a way to word it. I think that's pretty efficient, I suppose. Oh man, it is very hard, and I absolutely commend you for being where you are, for looking for answers, for trying to heal. Because as we all know, there are plenty of people that don't ever try to heal. They cope and cope and cope for their entire lives. And through their coping mechanisms, as I said, they create consequences and consequences and consequences. So I absolutely commend you for your strength your bravery to step inside and look at yourself and how you can help yourself, how you may have been part of the cause of what's still happening here. If nobody else says it to you, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for doing that hard work. And if obviously it's difficult because most of the people on earth choose not to do it. That's how you know that you are special. That's how you know that you are stronger. If you are able to look deeply at your own actions and how you can change these things instead of trying to get the people around you to change. Because another thing in toxic relationships, when we're trying to get someone to love us who doesn't love themselves, trying to get a young person to act like a grown person, trying to get an immature person to act like a mature person, this immediately stops when we decide that we are going to mature ourselves. When we become mature, we can no longer be around immature people. This is why it's so yuck when adults get with kids, right? Because there's a huge age gap. There is no fucking way you can do that. That is not okay, right? Because, and that's how it feels. When you mature yourself, you feel like you are in a grade school when you're at a college level, and it's repulsive to you. After you start to mature yourself and work on yourself and see how you control the situation, see how you can help yourself, once you start to gain some emotional maturity, you can no longer reside with people who are emotionally immature. You just won't have time for it, won't have the patience for it. It will irritate you to the max, and you will refuse to have those people in your life. That is the difference between people who live comfortably and happily and maybe a little bit selfishly, where they look out for themselves to the point where nobody is going to hurt me. I have a child to look out for, and nobody is going to hurt me. I have someone I need to take care of. I can't be hurt. So they start to protect themselves. That is the difference between a healthy household and a not healthy household. So again, I really, really hope that some of this was helpful. Athena, child, wait. Anyways, I hope that that was helpful. I hope that you found something in this video that you can use. Have a absolutely wonderful day, weekend, night, whatever, whenever you're seeing this. I hope that, scratch that. I pray that you are blessed, hands and heart and mind blessed, and that you receive so much comfort that you just get bored with toxicity and decide to reach for clarity and help. I'm so excited to see how this affects everyone. The world is changing. Evolution is happening. The world is changing. And I am so stoked for it. So, bless you, bless you, bless you. I really hope that this helped. And I hope that you are happy, healthy, and safe, always. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.